So there's this infamous stat in trading: 95% of traders fail. Sometimes it varies depending on whoever you're listening to, but the failure rate is very, very high. And what most people don't talk about is if the failure rate is so high, that must mean that the majority of people are going down a dark path in this trading success journey. And trading success journey is a dark path. Stats will tell you if so many people fail, there's your evidence. So who am I to argue with that? And I've worked with many people who have gone down this dark path and we've had to get them round back onto the light path. But in this video today, I want to speak about 5 things that I wish I would have known, that I could have avoided. And these are going to help you avoid them as well. Because if you're not built a certain way, the dark path is going to consume you. And the dark path will consume you in many, many different areas of your life. And you see a lot of stuff on across the board when it comes to content, etc., things like that. There's so many different things. But I don't really want to do the entry level barrier stuff no more when it comes to trading. 1, because of the types of traders that we work with. And 2, I feel that that's just mundane and that's everywhere. So yes, there is other sides to trading, which is magnificent. The lifestyle that I live and the people and you see across the board, big money, whatever it may be. But the path, if you don't get the right direction or the right guidance, or you continue to allow your ego to get in the way, is a dark, dark path, my friends. So today, like I say, I've got 5 key points that I wish that I knew and you can avoid in your trading. So I'm going to keep it nice and snappy. Now, number 1 is you need to understand what you're actually getting yourself into. With such a low entry barrier, and you hear me speak about the low entry barrier quite a lot, and that attracts level surface minded thinkers and get rich quick scheme kind of people. They're not really understanding what you're actually letting yourself in for. And what I would suggest is, if I was to go back and say I wanted to start trading again and I had to know what I had to go through, I would probably go through it again, but I'd go through it in a very, very, very different way. And how I would avoid all that, and which I would have done before, was I would have started to think and study what it was like to actually become a successful trader. Because when you come into trading, you just get into trading. It's not a thought process of, well, if I wanted to be a doctor, I would have to go and study doctor. If I wanted to be an athlete, I'd have to train 10,000 hours. If I wanted to play the piano, I'd have to do 10,000 hours. We just come into trading like, oh, it's going to be okay, and we're just going to be able to do this straight away. It's one of the hardest things you're probably ever going to do within your life. Not only understanding how to become a trader in trading wise, a strategy, more than anything, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I'm going to speak about that on one of my tips. All right. So just understand what you're actually getting yourself in for. Very, very important. All right. It's very, very important. It is not what you think across social media when the doors closed, you're on your own, and you're thinking about being successful within this industry. It is a very, very different animal to what you see across the board, all on your fancy social media platforms. So number 1 with me will be understanding what you're actually getting yourself in for. Now, number 2, which is quite interesting, I've just got some notes on my phone here, right, is you need to research the real financial and physical cost and emotionally cost. All right. Let me say that again. You need to research the financial, emotional, and physical costs. Now, let me touch on those 3 things briefly. What do I mean? Well, financially, you're going to end up losing a lot more money on your journey of trying to learn this. And if you don't understand that, that might be a business expense or your tuition to the market, and you just keep throwing away at funded accounts, and you just keep going on and these cheap courses and discords, and you're trying to find that shortcut. Before you know it, you might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, and a client that I'm working with at the moment, $100,000 in the red. Yes, $100,000 in the red. That is 6 figures. Now, like I said before, because it's such a low entry barrier, people believe that they can just get in. Oh, 49 top step account. I get that, but people are jumping into trading, and you may be one of these people right now. You don't even know what you're actually doing. You don't have a strategy, a proven strategy. Some of you don't even have a strategy. You don't read books on trading. You've probably never watched a documentary in relation to the Wall Street and then in the pit and how they used to trade. You've probably never watched trading psychology videos. And you think that some guy on YouTube is just going to be able to show, oh, well, look, I made $25,000 this week on my Top Step account. And they forget to tell you that they already spent $20,000 on evaluations and failed accounts. Okay? Now, you can't go into this industry not understanding what you're actually doing, but more importantly, researching how much financially it's going to cost you. Financially, it's going to cost you to do this. And the best way to do that is do that in education. That's one of my tips. However, look at the real cost of how many people get funded, how many people get to a payout, and what makes you think that you can just get in this game with no knowledge. You might get lucky. You might be the 1 out of 10,000 that gets lucky on your first payout. You might do that. But the chances are, probabilities, stats, and I've been in this game a very, very long time, it's not going to work out for you. And you're going to get into a gambling, casino, lottery mindset when it comes to trading. So do the research as how much do you actually want to spend for your tuition to understand what you're actually doing, and find a strategy. Go on Amazon, buy the 4 or 5 top books, Trading in the Zone, Market Makers, Technical Analysis, all these types of books, whatever. There's about 3 or 4 books that I would go ahead and do that, right? That's what you should be doing to understand how the best in the world have got to where they need to get to. Now, this then leads me on to the second point in point 2 is emotionally. If you are impulsive, impatient, greedy, FOMO, like to follow the crowd, money greedy, and all these types of things, you need to make sure that you study your own mind. You need to get a hold of self-mastery, self-development, stoicism, faith, mindset books, whatever it is. I've got a list of hundreds, okay? I've read hundreds now, because you can't do this just by your ego. What you don't know, you don't know. Always remember that saying, what you don't know, you don't know. So don't expect to come into a highly, highly emotionally intelligent industry if you have no emotional mastery. I would spend all my time, I would spend a year, if I was brand new to trading, what I know now, spend a year of building a solid mindset. I'm on year 8 of self-development, and I've still got a long, long way to go. Year 8. So don't think that you can just pick up one book and you're going to be okay. It takes time. So emotionally, go and master yourself and go on self-development journey. And then physically, well, everybody says it. You can't be a slob and have discipline in your trading. You've got to go out. Very few will do that. You've got to go out and create discipline in your life in a physical way. So then that's going to then create a discipline when it comes to tough times in trading. So point 2 is research financially, get on your self-mastery journey, and get on your physical health journey. Those 3 things are going to make it when it comes to trading. Now, number 3 is, for me, I wish I would have got a mentor. Now, when I started trading, there wasn't mentors around. There's a few people trading online. You could join their trading groups, but it wasn't a thing like it is now. Since COVID, we know that it's become very, very popular, and definitely futures now. Everybody's coming to futures. We've been trading futures for years now. But I would have researched and got myself a mentor stroke coach, someone who can speak to directly. That's why I do what I do, to speak directly. And if you are interested in any of that stuff, there will be links below. Go ahead and do that. And obviously we've got a 5-day challenge, which is coming in the 1st of December, but go and check that out. The links are below, but there's a plug. But what I'm saying is I would have done that because it would have just shortcut the journey for me, and I wouldn't have lost tens of thousands of dollars of trying to figure out on my own. I would have saved way more money if I would have just got a coach or a mentor to guide me, like it would a football coach, like it would if I wanted to be a scientist, like it would if I wanted to be a Pilates teacher or a boxer or whatever it may be. I would need to go and find a coach. So there's no difference in trading unless you want to spend 10 years trying to figure it out and $30,000 or whatever it may be, right? Now, there is loads of free content along the way. There is an argument that there is loads of free content, but there is no one-on-one personal guidance. And any strategy that you go along, you will tweak it and add your own seasoning, as we say, and that will be your own strategy, whether you have a mentor or whether you look on YouTube. But more importantly, a mentor will cut down your learning curve. It will make you accountable. You will stop gambling, and you will not allow yourself, or you won't have the time to build bad habits that become way harder to rewire when you get to the point of wanting to come full time. Because if you've been trading on a bad journey for 3 or 4 years and you've wired bad habits, It's going to take a year for those habits to be rewired via coaching. So that's exactly what I would have done. I would have definitely decided to save my money and got a coach or a mentor rather than trying to pass 500 challenges and be 10x down on a mentorship program anyway. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore in the industry that we are in. And then number 4 for me is I wish I would have worked on myself and my everyday life at the beginning of my journey, not 3 years in. So I was working on self-development, and I was always been into gym. I've been working out since, I don't know, 5 years old maybe. I've been always fit. It's just for part of a discipline. It's part of therapy, and I challenge myself as much as possible. Would never take drugs. Would never take testosterone. Would never take none of that stuff. It's a load of nonsense. Eat right. Eat moderate. Work out. Keep smiling, and keep yourself healthy. But I wish I would have gone on this, started to master myself in relation to hard challenges. So self-development along the way is very, very good. But if you don't put yourself into adversity, if you don't you volunteer to put yourself in tough times, it's very hard for you to learn or get through those tough times when they come. So I was speaking to one of my mentors the other day. I randomly just go on half a marathon runs with no training, and I might not run for 6 months, and then randomly I'll just go and do 13K. Just randomly. Miles, not KM. And the reason I do that is because I know it's going to be hard. I have no choice but to, once I leave the house, to get home. And I want to test myself that, yes, it's hard. Stop being whatever. Get on with it and get through adversity. I wish I would have done that way earlier in my trading journey, because I was doing it in my physical life. But in my trading journey, I wish I would have stuck to a structure and put myself in a situation that I needed to win. And that would have been mentor, deadlines, all those types of things, not looking at it as a game. All right. So work on yourself, number 4, but put yourself in difficult situations, because success only comes from discomfort. Check out the last video. It's not going to get many views. We know YouTube's doing whatever it's doing at the moment, but I'm not here for views. I'm here for high-level, intelligent conversations and work with high-level people. That's what I'm here for, okay? I'm not here for views. And the final point, which is number 5, my friends, is being blind to online content and being naive to believing what I saw. If I would have and I'm an intelligent guy, and I fell for scams back in the day, but just because you're intelligent in certain areas of your life, it doesn't mean you're intelligent in other areas. And I clearly wasn't intelligent enough to understand that this was a load of BS. And most of the things you see online are BS. And I'm talking 8-9 years ago. So, I mean, now you've got 18-year-olds saying, what have I learned in life? If I was 10 years old, this is what I would have done different. It's just crazy. It's crazy, all right? 18-year-olds saying, oh, I've been through the pain. My life's a nightmare. I'm like, get a grip, all right? Some of them might not even make it to my age. So for me, it would have been not been naive toward the BS that I was seeing all over the place. And it's 10x now. It's 10x. So get rid of your certain feeds, change your algorithms, and get rid of any kind of content that you're watching where people are saying, look, I made $25,000 in a day, and they never tell you of like how many accounts they've blown before, or get rid of all that kind of stuff and move away from anything that's to do with monetary. All right. Because it's very, very important when people say to me, well, Fran, what's the one thing that kind of was your aha moment? And it was this, my friends. The minute that you detach yourself from the monetary outcome on your trading and you just think about the process goals, your game will change. The game will change. The problem is most traders, all they want to think about is how much money can they make. There's nothing worse, and actually I'm at the stage now in my trading career where I'm quite harsh and could come across as quite rude when people that ask me about how much money can I make per day, or can I make this per day? Because I've had that question for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and it's very, very annoying. And I don't work with surface level traders. Every so often there is a beginner trader who comes one, but their intelligence level is very, very high, and I can work with them. But you've got to come away from that monetary side of things, Because the minute that you come away from the monetary side of things and you start thinking on the process, then it becomes a whole different game. So you must detach yourself from the monetary thing. So there's 5 things that I wish I knew, so you can avoid them now and you can go and get to work on those types of things. I mean, if you want to put a comment below and let me know exactly what you've been struggling with, what things you need to start adapting, things like that. Just general chit chat, whatever you want to put in the comments. Ask me any questions that you want. It's no problem for me to go through and answer or some of the questions if they are reasonable, of course. All right. So if you want to know any more, there is a link below. You can work with me. Now, got to say this right now, very, very briefly. My doors are closing on the 5th of December. I will not be taking any new students on, members, clients, whatever. Probably by the end of January, might even be the end of February, as we're working on the business rather than in the business of coaching, giving more value to everybody that we work with. All right. And some people will be staying on board. So again, if you need any help with that, it's not scarcity. I don't need your money. I make more than enough money to support my wife and my 4 children on here. So not a problem whatsoever. I don't need your money. So it's entirely up to you if you want to use that service. If not, we wish success to you all. And I hope these videos really, really help.